Hi, my name is Mike, but I go by Mike__wave on twitch.tv. And today I'm going to be doing a speedrunning submission for AGDQ 2020. I'm going to be submitting Resident Evil 4 in the New Game Pro category, which is by far the most popular and competitive category for this game, at least on Steam, which is also one of the most popular categories because it is the fastest. And we're going to be running at 60 FPS, which is very different from the 30 FPS that most people have played for consoles like GameCube and PS2 and Xbox 360. So the run's going to be a little bit different than what people expect. It's going to be a lot faster. Enemies are going to be faster and all that. So we're going to be doing new game and then professional. Let's just get right into it. So professional is the hardest difficulty of this game. One of the reasons this category is so difficult is because, or so popular, I should say, is because of the difficulty. A lot of people have memories of playing this game on professional. But we are going to be doing new game on top of that, rather than new game plus, which is the other main category. Let me get this reload. We're going to be doing a new game, which is very different from new game plus, where you have access to like basically whatever inventory you want to use. In new game, no matter the difficulty, we just start with whatever the game gives us, and the rest we have to get through. We have to get for the merchant. And we're going to be buying a lot of stuff from throughout the run. But yeah, so in this game, we're playing as Leon, who is the protagonist from RE2, and he makes a comeback in this game. A lot of people know the story because this game is just so prevalent. It's been on like every console ever made at this point. But this game is kind of different from the other Resident Evil titles because none of the enemies in this game are actually zombies. They're all ganados, as the game calls them, which are like these parasite-controlled villagers and other types of NPCs. So as you see, we just got passed through that first room right there. I reloaded at the first cutscene, which is something you can do in this game. Here I'm going to shoot this guy 7 times. I'm going to go ahead and change my inventory. That's another popular aspect of this game. The inventory for this game is very different from other Resident Evil titles, very unorthodox. So it has this sort of Tetris-like effect, and it's very hard to manage compared to other Resident Evil games. It's a lot more complicated for sure. So you're going to see me in my inventory quite a lot, managing it to make sure that everything is optimal. Hopefully this grenade will work. So I'll go ahead and explain what happened in that room because like so much was happening right there. But basically, in order to get past that room, you have to kill a certain amount of enemies in 2 different waves. And I killed the first enemy with my handgun, and then I threw a grenade, and that ended the first wave. And then I killed the second wave with a second grenade that we got upstairs. And while we were there, we also got the pump-action shotgun, which is the most base shotgun you can get. It's like the first one you have access to. Despite what it looks like, we're going to be using the pistol way more than the shotgun for this first part of the game, which is the village. The pistol is just more useful for what we're going to be doing. But the shotgun is going to be essential for a part coming up, like a very notorious part, which I'll talk about when we get to it. But for right now, for most of the village segment, we just need the handgun. The handgun is just, it does everything we need it to. All right, I went for a tricky skip there, but that is the first of the many QuickTime events that are in this game. This game is notorious for introducing QuickTime events to a very large audience. In the run, they're not that big of a deal, but that first one I just did right there, that mashing QT, that one's a bit tricky on 60 FPS because on 60 FPS, this is explaining a lot while I'm going through everything here, but 60 FPS, I should probably just get this out of the way, is very different from 30 FPS because 60 FPS, everything just moves faster. Like all the enemies move faster, you move faster. Hitboxes are very different. They're a lot bigger on 60 actually compared to 30. So this game in general is just quite a bit harder on 60 compared to 30, but it is very, very much faster, as you would expect, because everything is just going faster. So I have to respect enemy hits like that, like quite a lot more than I would on 30 FPS, for example. And this also affects the QTEs, because QTEs, like because of how Capcom ported this game, the FPS is tied to the physics engine. You basically have to do like the QuickTime events, like the mashing ones, way faster than you normally would have to. So that's my long-winded explanation right there on FPS, but it is kind of crucial to understand for this game. Right here, I'm going to shoot this barrel, and that'll kill this enemy. That enemy is by far the most random part of this room right here. You can usually do most of this room without an issue. If you know, as you're going to see through a lot of this run, I'm going to be dodging a lot of enemies by just doing specific lines as you would in older Resident Evil titles. Like the other Resident Evil games, like the older ones that came before this, even though there is no fixed camera angle, the controls are pretty much the same still. We still have good old-fashioned tank controls and how we control Leon. So a lot of the movement is actually very, very similar to older Resident Evil games. And the dodge enemies, we're just going to be doing specific lines as you would in RE2 or RE3, for example. But there is going to be a bit more to it than that, though. I'm going to be doing some very specific reloads like that right there, too, to help time this stuff. Okay, got through that without a hitch. This first part of the game, or actually most rooms in the game in general, you can get past them for the most part pretty easily if you know how to do the correct line. There's a couple of rooms that are the exceptions, and I'll go ahead and point those out. But this first part of the run isn't like too bad. It's very reset heavy because it is the beginning of the run, but it's not too bad when it comes to dodging enemies. There's more problematic stuff for sure when it comes to speedrunning this game in the village for sure. All right, so in this next room, there's going to be the scary chainsaw guy right here. Probably the enemy that scared a lot of people when they played this game in their younger years, but the chainsaw guys are actually not too big of a deal in the run, honestly. You can get past most of them without a hitch. In fact, ironically enough, the enemies who are way more dangerous are the grabbing enemies, which are the enemies who don't have anything at all. The ones who can just, like, grab you. They don't have any weapon. Those are some of the most dangerous enemies in the entire game. Like, it's a bit hard to explain, but they can just randomly do these charge attacks, which can very much ruin your day. So I am very much more scared of enemies who can just grab me than I am the chainsaw enemies. The chainsaw enemies are not a big deal at all. They're very predictable. Their AI is very repetitive. They're just not a big deal. But the grabbing enemies, oh boy. All right. So as you can see, I've been grabbing these treasures throughout the run thus far. And the reason is right here. This is the first merchant stop we're going to make. And let me do this real fast. I'm going to go ahead and buy a rocket launcher with the 3 treasures I sold. Each treasure I got was 10,000 pesadas, which is the currency in this game. So 10,000 each gives me 30,000, which is enough already to buy a rocket launcher. It's a one-time use weapon, but it is the most powerful weapon you can get access to in the base game. By far. Like, the rocket launchers in this game are incredibly overpowered, and they're really easy to get access to. I really don't know what the devs were thinking when they decided to make it so you can just buy rocket launchers whenever. I don't know if they knew how badly we can exploit that, but as a speedrunner, I'm kind of happy we have that, and you're going to see how we use the rocket launchers later on. As you can see, we're also getting some grenades on the way here, too. All these grenades I'm picking up are going to be extremely useful later on. They're going to be essential later on, I should say. Not just useful, essential. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a flash here as well. This crow right here, the specific one I shot, does have a flash. Drops it 100% of the time. We're going to need that. And we're just going to keep on running to our first boss, who is a very complicated... He's a bit of an annoying fellow. I'll talk about him when I get to him in the next room. As right now, though, we have another boulder chase QTE. Again, I really don't know. It's been brought up many times, but I really don't know what the devs were thinking when they added these boulder chase QTEs. I think it was the mid-2000s. They had like these new things called QTEs, and they were like, okay, guys, we got to go kind of ham with with some of these quick time events. Like, our game isn't crazy. It is kind of based off of Devil May Cry, after all. So I think they were just like, okay, Leon gets chased by a boulder. I don't know. Very Indiana Jones-esque, but it does not feel like it. It does not feel proper in a Resident Evil game, but whatever. That second one is a lot easier than the first one in the first chapter, actually, because we don't have to time it precisely to get the specific skip, which I didn't even talk about, but it's not too important. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and grab another treasure right here. And right now, we're going to have our first boss in the game, which is Del Lago. He is this mutant salamander thing that lives inside this lake. If you shoot the water 5 times, I think he'll pop out and eat you, and you die immediately. It's kind of a running joke to not shoot the water. They even have like an achievement in game for it. But this is like one of the only bosses in the game actually where we have to fight him legit. We can't cheese this boss at all. I just have to hit him with these harpoons from the boat. I can open up my inventory, but I can't equip any weapons. I'm forced to use these harpoons as a way of killing him. And I think on Pro, it's 12 harpoons to kill him. I could be wrong. I can't remember the precise number. And the reason he's an issue is because of this part right here. All right, I got lucky, but it is possible for this boss at that moment to do what's called an early dive, where he dives underwater, and you have to wait for him to come back up. It's RNG based, and if he does it, it basically kills your run. At least, all right, he's doing it right now. This is what's called a late dive. There's 3 different patterns. We got like the medium pattern. It's not bad, but it's not good. We lose 8 seconds on average. Right, he actually came up kind of fast again. Let me do this real fast. He should dive this next harpoon. There we go. All right. So as I was saying, if he does what's called the early dive, which is the worst possible pattern, you lose like 15 to 20 seconds. And I wouldn't say it's impossible to PB, but when you, in a game like this, that's as long as this, when you're going for a very, very good time, getting an early dive is like pretty much a run killer. So Del Lago is like what we call like the first like RNG check. Kind of similar to the many RNG checks in Resident Evil 3. Del Lago is our first one. If you get a good Del Lago, that's great. If you don't, you usually just reset. I got the medium pattern. That's okay. You usually don't reset with that, but it is pretty bad. It means being 8 seconds behind usually means the rest of your run's got to be pretty good in order to make up for that. So it's nighttime now. We woke up. Leon has been infected with the parasite that is controlling all these villagers called La Plaga. I'm going to go ahead and shoot these boxes right here. And it basically acts as the ticking time bomb in this story, where if Leon doesn't cure himself, then he's going to become just like all these Ganados within a certain amount of time. And I should also mention that the overall story of this game is Leon is sent to a rural, I can't pronounce that word, a rural part of Spain. Even though it doesn't mention it's Spain, all the villagers are speaking Spanish, and you're in Europe, so we can assume it's Spain, even though their accent is not the one Spanish people use. We're sent there to look for the president's daughter, who has been kidnapped by what we think is this cult. And we're going to meet her in a bit. The president's daughter, Ashley, she is an element to this game that not a lot of people are a big fan of. In the run, she's not a big deal. I'll talk about her more as we get there, but yeah, just so people know, Ashley is a very divisive topic for this game, both casually and speedrunning-wise. But right now, we're going to go ahead and take this boat. I just got the key we need to go to the church that Ashley is locked inside. We're going to go ahead and pass by our second boss here. And unlike Del Lago, ironically, is like one of the hardest bosses in this game because you have to fight him legit. And just his fight is just kind of tough to get good at. This fight right here, just shoot a rocket at his knee and he's dead. That is the purpose of the rocket launcher that we bought earlier. It is just so we can kill this El Gigante. That is what the boss is known as. It's just so we can kill that Gigante a lot faster, like instantly. We don't need to waste our precious resources fighting him. We can just shoot him in the knee and just get going, because we want to go fast. All right. So now that we're passed out, we're going to go ahead and pick up Ashley. She's inside this church right here. She's being guarded by these dogs who we can just run past. They're like these infected Las Plagas dogs. Unlike in RE1 Remake, if anyone has played that, in Resident Evil 1 Remakes, the dogs are very annoying. They are a very big run killer in that game. Fortunately enough, in Resident Evil 4, the dogs are like a non-issue. Like they'll get you every now and then, but it's usually your fault if they do. All right, a very simple puzzle right here. A lot of the puzzle solutions in this game are very easy, actually. That one, we break down to the numbers. It's 2, 3, 1. The combination, I mean. And right here, we're going to grab Ashley. There she is. Everyone's favorite part of this game. I'm going to go ahead and tell her to wait right there. And the reason I'm doing that, just leaving her there, is because there's a cutscene trigger right here. And with that cutscene trigger, Ashley just teleports to us. She doesn't need to be with you all the time. If there is a cutscene trigger in the room, Ashley basically does not need to be with you. She'll just teleport to you instantly because she has magical powers that she doesn't tell us about. But yeah, the devs gave her very secret powers and just didn't tell us about it. All right, so moving on. We're basically going to have Ashley with us for quite a while right now. She's going to be with us for the next few chapters. She's usually not a big deal. I said that earlier. A lot of people overestimate how big of a deal Ashley is in these games. She is very annoying, as you can tell by her constant yelling and the fact that she's kind of helpless. But in the run, Ashley does have a couple of practical uses, actually, believe it or not. You're going to see one of them coming up right here. So once we're past this room. Okay. All right, I didn't get the good pattern here, unfortunately, with this pitchfork guy. That's okay, though. It's only like a second time difference. Okay. Right here. So one thing we could do with Ashley is I can tell her to wait and then follow me, like, very fast. And what that does, it actually manipulates the enemies in the room. So if I do it right here, it'll move some of these enemies the way I want them to move. So Ashley's going to go ahead and follow me up here because that enemy got stuck behind the ladder. And then right here, because I told her to wait and follow me, those two enemies are to the far left, which makes a clear path for Ashley to just come straight to me. That's one example of like a very practical use of like the wait follow me ability. And right here we have another cutscene trigger coming up. And what is arguably the most notorious part of this run, it is the cabin segment. A lot of people remember this. We're going to be stuck here in this cabin with our good friend Lewis right here. I'm going to go ahead and knife him right here. This is very hard to explain. Give me one moment here. This is a very complicated part. Okay. He's getting grabbed. Good. And here's where all these grenades come into play. Oh, that's unfortunate. That guy died. Alright. At least Lewis is in the right spot. So that one enemy dying by the window is not something I wanted to happen. That actually cost me a little bit of time if it does happen.
Are you trying to kill me?
That's okay, though. We'll be okay. So as I was explaining earlier, the goal of Cabin in the normal and pro difficulties is there's two ways to end this part. We can't just leave because Ashley is trapped in a cabinet upstairs. All right, I'm gonna shoot. Oh, okay, come on now. I don't know if Lewis helped me or not there. Uh-oh. This is not good. He actually got me there. I just need to knock these guys away from me real fast. So the goal of Cabin is to kill just 40 enemies, and that's how we end the segment. We can't just leave because Ashley is trapped up here inside a closet, and we can't just leave her behind. So I'm just going to camp on top of the stairs now that I've thrown all my grenades. I actually wanted to get as many enemies inside as fast as possible, because killing them all with your grenades is faster than just like shotgunning them all. I got hit there again. It's not a big deal. All right. It's not a big deal. I've been injured, but luckily we have this first aid right here that I can heal myself with. Okay. So a lot just happened there. Let me go ahead and explain. Uh-oh. We want to go right side right here. Okay. So in the cabin segment, on normal and pro, there's only two ways to get past it, as we know of so far, and that's to do it the legit way. And that's either you kill 40 enemies, which ends the segment, as I just did right there, or you go ahead and just wait out the timer, because there is a timer on that segment, actually, but the timer is very long, so it's just better overall to just kill 40 enemies. Unfortunately, there is a lot of randomness to the cabin. It is by far the most RNG heavy part of the entire run, and because of that, probably the biggest run killer out of anything in this entire game. A lot of good runs will die to Cabin if you run this game. It is just a fact of running this game. And because of that, a lot of runners really hate it. And the reason it's random is because the enemy behavior is just so random. After we throw all the grenades, we usually end up with 25 kills, and then we have to go upstairs and just camp at the top of the stairs using the shotgun. And that is the only reason we pick up the shotgun, by the way, at the very beginning of the run. We use it so we can just camp at the top of the stairs and get the last 15 kills as quickly as possible, but the speed at which the enemies come up is just purely random. Sometimes it will take a lot longer to go up than other times, and sometimes Lewis, who is our that NPC who was inside with us, He will sometimes not kill, because the amount of enemies that Lewis kills adds to the total kill count. Lewis will sometimes just not kill enough enemies, and it'll just cost you like 10, 15 seconds just randomly. You'll lose time to, like, you know, enemies just take it forever to come inside. It's just really, really, it's just a really frustrating part if you're running this game quite a lot. So right here we have an auto-scroller. We're just shooting these guys as they come up with our pistol. And I'm going to go ahead and waste as much ammo as I possibly can. And I'm just combining those herbs that we picked up along the way so I can sell them later. So this is normally a place that, like, it's a good place to usually do donations. This is, like, one of the first examples of, like, downtime you have in the run. You're just kind of waiting. Alright. And we're going to be moving on to the final boss of the village portion of the run. So there are, I should go ahead and explain this right now. There are 3 segments to the run. Village, which is the first area of the game. That's the first one. The second one is Castle, where we go up to this castle, and the type of enemies we encounter change. Instead of fighting villagers, we're fighting, like, these possessed monks and priests. And the antagonist of the game changes from Sadler, who is, like, the cult leader, to this very short fellow named Salazar. Yeah, that's his name. Probably one of the most iconic and memorable characters from this game. He's this very frail, short-looking guy who is actually like 20 years old, and he's the antagonist for the castle segment. Here, let me kill this boss real fast. So this is another boss we can kind of cheese by throwing incendiaries at him. He will actually die from 4 incendiaries plus that fire barrel right there. So if I throw the fire grenade right there, he gets hit by the grenade and the barrel at the same time, which will go ahead and kill him. So that's that boss taken care of. Casually speaking, that is like probably one of the harder bosses in the game, in my opinion. It is very hard to dodge his attacks, so very fortunate that he has a weakness, which is fire grenades. So we pick up like 4 of those throughout the village segment, so we can just kill him as fast as possible. But yeah, going back to describing the game. After the castle segment and you're finished dealing with Salazar, you go to the island, which is the final segment. And there it moves on to from priests to like these militia guys, like these military dudes. The enemies start getting way more dangerous at that point in the run. That said, even though it's the final portion of the game, I think a lot of people, both casually and speedrunning-wise, consider the castle segment, which is coming up right now, to be the hardest part of the entire game. It has the hardest rooms in the entire game. Just very tough bosses. Or like there's not many bosses. There's only like one who I think could be argued to be the hardest boss in the game. We're just basically going to skip him though using a rocket launcher. I'll talk about that when we get to it later. I'm going to go ahead and open this part up. So we basically took this massive detour to go kill the village chief, whose name is Mendez, to get his fake eye so we can pass this door right here. And we're going to take this door to get over to the castle. So right here, this truck looks like it's going to ram us. Fortunately, we can just shoot this guy in the head, or shoot the truck 5 times with the pistol, and that'll go ahead and stop it. And we're just going to run past this and make our way to the next point. There's another cutscene, so we can leave Ashley behind, and she's going to get grabbed here. Oh no! How'd you let her get grabbed? It's over. Well, not really. We have this cutscene, and Ashley's fine. She's with us again.
Wait.
All right, so we are now in the castle.
Welcome.
And we're going to go ahead and change up our inventory completely. Give me one moment here.
What are you buying?
All right, so a lot happened there, but I basically sold nearly everything we picked up inside the village besides those 3 flash grenades and the TMP and rifle ammo. Those are the only things we need. We're going to switch our pistol for a TMP and our shotgun for a rifle. The shotgun is... Uh-oh. Let me go ahead and reset that. That was really bad. I usually don't miss that shot. Okay. So as I was saying, the rifle is one of the most powerful weapons in the game, for sure. And the TMP is basically a more useful version of the pistol. A lot of people don't like the TMP. It feels very weak. But speedrunning-wise, the TMP is actually one of the most powerful weapons in the game. At least for the speedrun. Not for casual play. A lot of people will come into my chat and go like, Why the hell are you using the TMP? It is so bad, Mike. Do you not know how bad the TMP is? Yeah, maybe in your casual playthrough it's bad, but for the run, you're gonna see how useful it is throughout the run. It's something we're gonna keep. I think it's the one weapon we keep in our inventory like the longest throughout the whole run. We're gonna have it all the way to like near the very end. It is an extremely powerful weapon, just because we can use it to do puzzles and also shoot enemies and stun them, because we don't need to kill any enemies besides like a couple of them. We just need our TMP there just so we can like do crowd control basically, and that's what it's very good at. So that is the reason why we get it. And also it's very small, so it goes ahead and fits in our inventory very easily. All right, so a lot just happened there. Ashley got grabbed again, but as long as you fired a cannon in that one area, it despawns all the enemies. And I'm also going to go ahead and do this puzzle very fast. I left the room for a moment, and the reason I did that is to reset the enemy positions, because if you take too long in that room, additional enemies will spawn at the bottom, which we don't want. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a key right here that we need to progress. Very minor detour right here. Oh yeah, that's another thing I should mention. Ashley is like very, very good at holding doors open for us. That is like the second thing she is very good at. So she's going to go ahead and hold that initial door open for us so we never have to stop. All right, I'm going to shoot that barrel for crowd control right here. Oh, fire grenade. I don't need that, but if an enemy drops a grenade, that's usually very good. But yeah, Ashley, thank you, Ashley, for holding that door for us. That is something she is very good at, as well as baiting enemies. So right here, we're introduced to the villain of the castle, Salazar. That would normally be the cutscene where we see him in his full glory. But we're going to go ahead and skip that because we're trying to go fast. And I should mention, I think this is like one of the first Resident Evil games to introduce like being able to skip cutscenes, which is very nice for us speedrunners. We don't have to watch the same cutscene over and over again, unlike a lot of, you know, RE1 through 3 classic speedrunners. All right, we have the first mini-boss of the castle coming up right here. His name is the Garrador. Or this is what this enemy is called. He's blind. And we're going to go ahead and shoot this Plagas on him 4 times and do 1 body shot on him. So this boss is very scary for a lot of people, but in the run, he's not too bad, as you can see. Using the rifle in this technique we call quick scoping, where you just go in and out of the scope on the rifle to shoot faster on it, basically. Using that, we can just kill him very, very easily with some precise shots and turning. It's a lot easier said than done, but with some practice, you can get that down. And we're going to use Ashley again to bait some enemies and make our way to Waterhall. Now, this right here, this is, besides the cabin, the uttermost notorious room in the game, probably. I know many people who stopped their casual playthroughs when they got to this room because they just got stuck. It is definitely among the hardest rooms in the game, both casually and speedrunning-wise. A lot of things can go wrong in the speedrun. There is a new strat we found out recently for doing this room, but I'm going to go ahead and do the old one because it is more marathon-friendly. So using my TMP, I'm going to go ahead and just deal with a lot of these enemies right here. As you can see, look how powerful this is. He just busted out for like half a second, and boom, like that enemy is just like incapacitated. You can run past him. It's just so strong. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use a fire grenade to deal with these enemies. All right. All right, Ashley got grabbed there for a little bit, but we should be okay here still. Uh-oh. Who's behind me there? Uh-oh. Oh, man. That was very unfortunate. I got very unlucky there. So, that guy who came up and grabbed Ashley, he has like a 50-50 chance of showing up. If he does show up, it's just bad RNG and you adapt to it. This room is all about adapting. Unfortunately, he grabbed Ashley a little too fast, and what happened is I had to tell Ashley to go back on the crank. If you shoot that guy fast enough when he grabs Ashley, she'll just immediately go back on the crank. And what that did is it slowed down how fast she did it, which gave the enemies enough time to recover and then grab me, which basically just ended that attempt right there. Hopefully this will go better. Yeah, even when using safe strats, this room is still very, can still be very inconsistent if you just get unlucky with how enemies behave. Alright, let's try that again. Uh-oh. I'm checking this time to see he's there. Go ahead and throw that. Alright, there he is. Uh-oh. Oh boy, that enemy is quite troublesome, I have to say. But there you go. Ashley immediately went back to the crank, and she was able to finish it much faster. And I'm going to do some movement here to help avoid these enemies. And I'm going to do a little trick here at this cutscene so I can reload during the cutscene. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead, open the menu, and we're going to retry checkpoint. And what that does is we basically triggered a checkpoint right there. And by reloading it, we despawn all the enemies who were there before, so we don't have to deal with them anymore. Even though you are going to the menu to do all that stuff, it is much, much faster than like immediately putting Ashley up here. And right here we have another auto-scroller, even though it doesn't look like it. We have another auto-scroller. And we basically just have to kill all these enemies, so Ashley can go ahead and do these 2 cranks without stopping, without being interrupted by these enemies. Doing some phase clan level sniping right here to get rid of all these enemies. I basically killed most of the enemies I already have to. You don't have to kill that many. I'm going to kill this one guy coming up right here. Alright, I'm going to kill that guy. We're going to get a cutscene right here, which means Ashley has finished the first lever. I'm going to go ahead and shoot this guy. I'm going to shoot that. And I'm going to shoot this guy right here. Coming right here. I don't need to kill him. I just need to stop him. Okay. So the rest of this is basically me going around looting all this stuff that I need for later. I just need money for some later merchant purchases. And I need this grenade that's inside that vase. Alright, I'm getting a lot of money. That's really good. Okay. So I'm also going to go ahead and grab this extra heal right here. There is a first aid spray that always spawns inside this vase that I'm going to really want for later. You don't need it, but like it's one of those things where like it's one of those things that you really just want to have. It doesn't cost, because this is all an auto scroller, it doesn't cost you any time to get it. And it's just so nice to have for later if you get memed really hard and you're put at like red HP, because we never upgrade our HP in this game. It's just really nice to have that first aid. Okay. And we just needed that money also to buy some additional stuff. Because money is very, very important in this game, like the money routing. Alright, so right now we're getting to the end of Waterhall. We need to wait for Ashley, actually. Once she's there, we go ahead and just go inside this door. And that is the end of the Waterhall segment. That is like one of the hardest parts of the entire run. And okay, Ashley gets kidnapped at that checkpoint right there. In a very comedic fashion. I don't think it was intended to be comedic, but it's so over the top dumb that it's kind of funny. But she gets kidnapped, so we're by ourselves again. And right here we're introduced to what is maybe the most notorious enemy in the entire game. Even people who don't run this game know about the Novistadors. So a lot of people will probably remember these enemies because like they're invisible bug things. They can just grab you out of nowhere. Right? It's pretty spooky, but in the run, they're notorious for another reason, and that's because they're just really, really random. I'm doing some specific movement and camera turning right here to manipulate their AI, but there is a part coming up here right now where I can run into some trouble if they don't do the correct pattern right here. This looks good. Right, nice. So as you can see, I'm turning my camera a lot, and what turning my camera does is make it so that the Novistadors are manipulated into doing this this swipe attack, which is by far one of the easiest attacks for them to dodge. What you don't want them to do is they can do this thing where they just grab you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Or they try and kick you. If they try and kick you, there's a QTE prompt you can do, but even that will cost you time. Just the Novistadors are by far very, very random. Even with what I'm doing right here, like the AI manipulation, you can never really tell what they're gonna do. They'll never really do the same thing twice in a row. So we're kind of lucky to get past that room unscathed, and that is only the first room with them. We call that the first layer of hell. There's 2 more rooms with them coming up, which we respectively call the second and third layer of hell. And right now we're getting to the gallery section. So a lot of people will remember this room for a this red zealot dude. As you can see right here, he's the guy in the red robe. We need the key that he drops to advance to the next room. If you let him run away, he'll get on this turret. So we're going to go ahead and use the rifle to make sure we can kill him before he's able to run away. So wait for him to turn around, and we just headshot him 3 times. And then I'm going to shoot this barrel, and that'll kill all the enemies here. Besides those 2 guys at the door. But yeah, by using the rifle, we can kill this guy before he gets on the turret and just wastes a lot of our time. And we're just going to drop down here to avoid these 2. And then just go on to the next room. I'm actually very low on money, despite the fact that I got all those money drops earlier. I'm guessing that's because I had to use my first aid spray after the cabin portion, which is okay. We'll be okay. All right. So, next room right here. This is another pretty notorious room, at least among like the top level runners. This is a room that causes a lot of headaches for us because, like the other notorious rooms, it has a lot of enemies, and when you have a lot of enemies, they tend to behave very randomly. So right here, this enemy grabbing me was something I could not control. It's just bad RNG. It's not too big of a deal though. Fortunately, I picked up a lot of heals, so we should be good. Alright. And right here, we're going to grab this piece right here that we need. So at the part of the game we're at right now, we're trying to collect these 3 pieces to form a chimera. We call and we do that to get past this wall we call the chimera wall. And like we basically spend this entire chapter getting the pieces for that, and also for getting Ashley back. But there is a very by far one of the most sought after skips in this game that we haven't found yet. And people have been looking for it for a long time, is what we call the Chimera Wall skip, which if we found a way to skip the Chimera Wall that pops up at the beginning of Chapter 3-1, which is before the Waterhall segment, we would save probably 20 to 30 minutes on the run. It's almost equivalent to like Barrier Skip for Wind Waker. Probably not as insane as something like Barrier Skip, which saves so much time, but if we found something like Chimera Wall, we wouldn't have to do Waterhall or Gallery or Novistadors 1 anymore, which we would very much love in the RE community. I think in the past it's had a bounty put on it. I don't know if it has an active bounty anymore. I don't know if those people are still in the community or not. That was before my time. But yeah, there are many bounties for this game, like skips that are like theoretical. Like, you know, they're plausible, maybe. Well, maybe not plausible, but like in theory they could work, but we don't know how to do them. And that Chimera Wall is one of them. As you can see right here, this is another pretty infamous part, which is running past these dogs in the maze. Since we're speedrunners, we know how to get past the maze without any issue. Like, I noticed, I've done this maze so many times. Oh, this dog is usually not here. I hope he doesn't do anything meany right now. Oh. Please don't grab me. That was scary. Okay, that dog is usually never that close behind you. Wow. Okay. But yeah, we just run through that maze to collect 2 pieces so we can get past that door. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that herb because we used one earlier and I just want to be safe. And a little trick right here, we can shoot that wine bottle in the bell using our TMP. I'm going to grab this flash, and right here we have the cage portion. This probably freaked a lot of people out on their first playthrough of the game. As speedrunners, though, we can get past it pretty easily using our handy-dandy TMP. Again, I'm telling you, it is one of the strongest weapons in the game for speedrunning, and that is one of the many reasons why. Just look at this. I can use it to get past that lock. I can use it to stagger all these enemies. It's just such a powerful weapon. Okay, and right here I'm going to use this lamp to kill these 2. And also to get a free reload on my TMP. Because if you take any form of damage or just get staggered while you're reloading your weapon, the game will count it as a reload. As long as you started up the animation. A lot of people don't know that. Here, I'm going to go ahead and go for a trick right here. Hell yeah. Okay. That is a kind of tough trick, but there is like a pixel you can shoot there to get both the chains holding Ashley to both the bottom 2 chains. It's a bit easier to go with on keyboard and mouse, which is what I'm using right here. All right. So right now, we just deal with all those enemies. Free Ashley, who was stuck on that wall that she got stuck on earlier. And we're just going to help her get out real fast.
The door's locked. I can't open it.
So right here, I'm going to do a pretty precise grenade throw to kill all these enemies. So I'm going to shoot this enemy in the leg. We're going to get our grenade. Then... Alright, it worked. So using that precise angle, I'm able to kill all the enemies in the room and prevent more from spawning because I killed the Red Zealot. The Red Zealot is what determines how many enemies come in. And I'm also going to grab a Spinel there. And right now, we're going to be playing as Ashley. This part is pretty memorable. Like, all the Resident Evil games that I can think of have, like, this part. It's like a tradition at this point. They have a part where you play as, like, a side character. And in this game, you play as Ashley for a bit. And we're just going to go ahead and... we don't have any weapons as Ashley, and we also can't do that trick we call quick turning as Leon, which where we use like the aim on the weapons as well as our camera to turn fast. So Ashley has much more limited movement compared to Leon. That's okay though. We don't play as her for very long, and you can do most of the movement in this portion just fine without it. So yeah, I went ahead and just ran past all those enemies because, as you know, with Resident Evil, the fastest way to do anything is to run past all the enemies. It was just the fastest way to do anything. And I'm going to go ahead and, this is like the second half of the Ashley portion right here. I'm going to go ahead and solve these this puzzle coming up. This is probably one of the most infamous puzzles in the game. I remember myself getting stuck on this upcoming puzzle for quite a while. I think I had to look up on GameFAQs how to do it a very long time ago. All right, yeah, it's this tile puzzle right here, but if you just move all the pieces like counterclockwise like that, you can just do it very fast, actually. And we're gonna go ahead and grab that insignia as well as this chimera piece. So we can give the chimera piece to Leon, and we're gonna use that insignia to help get out. So even though all those knights spawn right there, that's another part that spooked a lot of people, I'm sure, on their first playthrough. They're not too big of a deal. We can just run past them. And I should mention something right now about the QTEs. So if you get a QTE that pops out, where you're given like a button combination you have to do. There's only 2 button combinations per control method. So for keyboard and mouse, you have to press either X and C at the same time, or mouse 1 and mouse 2. On an Xbox controller, it would be like X and A, and then left and right trigger. What you can do, at least on this version of the game, you can't do it on the GameCube version, is you can just spam both the QTE combinations very fast, because the game doesn't check to see if you inputted the wrong QTE combination. As long as it just registers the right one, you're okay. So what we do is we basically just mash both the possible QTE combinations so we can do it as fast as possible. So even though the combination you get is random, it doesn't really matter in the end if you're just mashing both of them as fast as possible. It takes out a little bit of the difficulty in this game, but it is quite an oversight. And that's because, obviously, this game was made in 2005. Very long time ago. Before QTEs became a little bit more sophisticated, I should say. Alright, so we're back as Leon. And we're basically going to go back to where we started at the beginning of the castle, but now we have all the chimera pieces. Or we almost have all of them. For some reason, this castle has a massive foundry inside of it with all this, like gushing lava. I don't know why. I think the devs just thought it would be cool, like, for there to be a room full of lava inside this castle. Doesn't make any logical sense, but it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and use my rifle here to deal with these enemies. And also deal with this thing right here. You can take out that chain in 2 hits with the rifle. It is a very powerful weapon. Unfortunately, our time with the rifle is coming to an end very soon. We're going to sell it at the end of this chapter, which is 4-1. And it is the longest chapter in the game. But we're very soon going to get rid of it. Okay, so I'm just going to run past this enemy. And because of this carousel in the middle, this part is an auto-scroller. So it doesn't really matter. Like, it does matter how fast you do all the things I just did, but it's not like you don't have to do it too fast. You don't really save any time unless you miss a cycle on that carousel. All right. So we're back with Ashley again. We got our final Chimera piece from that lava room. And we're going to go back to the beginning of the castle segment so we can finally get past this stupid Chimera wall. And we're kind of getting to the second half of the run, I should say. Not only the second half of Castle, but the second half of the entire run. Where things begin to get a lot different, and that's because of a glitch that's going to be introduced soon. I'll talk about it when we get to it, but it is by far the most important glitch in the entire game. Like, extremely important. It is a glitch that we can do very, very easily that increases our movement speed and allows us to do a bunch of other skips in, like, out of bounds and stuff. So, as you can see, like, the first half of this run is, like, relatively, like, glitchless, basically. We don't really use any exploits. We just run past enemies and do specific lines. But the second half of the run, though, is some people will have a lot of complaints about it because, oh my god, you're using glitches. I'm unsubscribing. But hey, we want to go fast. We're speedrunners, right? We want to go fast. All right, so for this next part, we're going to try and get these 2 grails, which we need to get to the next area. And we're getting the first one right here. Using the handy-dandy TMP again to do that puzzle right there. Not really a puzzle. You just gotta... There's like a falling ceiling. It's like a falling ceiling trap type room. And you have to shoot those 4 lights on the ceiling. We're also gonna use it to kill these 2 guys. They both die in 1 hit. There's 2 guys just sitting on a drill that, like was just there this whole time. I don't know. Like, I don't know how long they've been there. They've been waiting their whole lives for this one moment to get Ashley and Leon trapped in their little trap. I don't know. There's a lot of funny stuff like that in this game. But they both die in 1 hit. And we're going to go ahead and grab that yellow herb right there. I'm actually not going to use it. I'm going to sell that to the merchant coming up. Because the yellow herbs in this game do sell for quite a lot. I don't really need to upgrade my HP like at all for this run. Like, once you get to a very high level, it's not really worth it to upgrade your HP anymore. Alright. So this is the night room, or the King Drail room. And we have to fight these 2 sets of Armaduras. They're just like these Plagas who are inside the suits of armor. And as you can see, like all Plagas in the game, they die immediately to flash grenades. So we're going to go ahead and abuse that. And we're going to use our rifle first, though, to reveal them. Alright, good. And then just throw down a flash to kill them all instantly. And that takes care of that room. That room is much easier than it looks. It's a bit easier for me than a lot of other players because I use the keyboard and mouse. But doing those shots on a gamepad can be very tricky. You have to be pretty fast. Otherwise, you'll be in a lot of trouble. And as you can see, the flash grenades are by far the best grenades in the game. At least for the speedrun.
Follow me.
I'm going to go ahead and pick up another one right there. Not only because they take care of the Plagas, like, immediately, but also because being able to stun nearly every enemy in the game, like, just incapacitate them for quite a bit, is just so useful to us speedrunners. It just allows us to do basically any room pretty safely, and it's going to come in handy a lot later. Alright, right now we have the second Novistador room. Remember those bugs from earlier? They're back, and this time they can fly around too. This is another one of the most random rooms in the game. I could potentially die here, and it won't really be my fault. I don't mean to sound salty with saying that. It's just like a fact. All right. Okay. All right. We got past it just fine that time, but that room, man, that room has killed many, many good runs. That room has killed many world record pace runs. I am very lucky to get past it unscathed. But using the flash grenades, as you can see, we can basically incapacitate those Novis for a little bit so that they don't touch us. Even with the flash grenades, though, they can still sometimes get you because that room is just stupid. Like, really, really stupid. Am I going to get hit here? All right, good. That is another example of a meme that could happen. You get hit by the mortar there, like, which is a flying fireball, or you get staggered by it. Getting staggered by it isn't too bad, but it does waste time. I'm lucky. I got past that unscathed. This 4-1 actually is very good so far. This is the type of 4-1 I wish I had in my runs, but I never get them. But the enemies are actually being very nice to me. They're being very nice to me so far. I don't want to jinx it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and shoot those 3 planks so we can activate this clock tower. And that's going to let us get onto the bridge outside, which lets us go to the next area where Ashley's being held at. Please don't hit me. Ooh, that was close. This crossbow dude can just randomly hit you sometimes. The crossbow dudes are another example of like just random enemies in this game. Sometimes the crossbow enemies in this game will just have like stormtrooper aim, where like they can never hit you ever. They will shoot you point blank and they won't get you. And then other times, they will shoot you from like miles away and somehow get you. Uh-oh, that's kind of a meme that happened right there. I guess I did jinx myself. Actually, no, we're okay. I need my rocket launcher out. Ooh, okay. All right. That was a little bit scary. Okay. We're going to go ahead and bait out these 3 shield guys. This is actually a pretty tricky room right here. Now we're going to bait out those 2 and just run past all the enemies again. And we're going to use the rocket launcher to go ahead and deal with these 2... Uh-oh. I didn't need to fire 2 shots there. I just wanted to be cool. That is kind of like a trick shot you can do where you kill that one enemy and the Garrador at the same time using the rifle. But yeah, that is also another example of a very tough room in this game. Because we have the money for it, we just use a rocket launcher to deal with those Garradors. We don't want to fight 2 of them. That takes too long. And that armored Garrador actually has a lot of HP, like a lot more than it looks like. All right, so another... kind of a bad merchant right there. All right, another example of inventory mix-up right now. We're going to change it again. And we're going to get the most important weapon in the game, which is the striker. So remember that glitch I talked about earlier? This is it right here. So basically, if you have the striker and you aim it, which is like that black shotgun that I got, if you aim the striker and then pull out another weapon before the laser comes out, you'll actually give Leon like a 1.5 times movement speed buff. So you run at like 150% like movement speed. It's by far the most important glitch in the game. It basically completely defines the second half of the run. We ditman in nearly every room on the Steam version because the inventory loads are so fast. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try and skip these 2 QTs. I got a hard one right here. Nice, okay. That is the hardest trick in the game, is dodging those 2 QTs. That requires some very precise movement. It's nearly frame perfect, which on 60 FPS is very difficult. And this right here is what I think a lot of people consider to be the hardest boss in the game, which is the Verdugo. And we're going to go ahead and kill him with a rocket launcher. The Verdugo has so much HP that we actually have to throw down these like I don't know what you would call them, like these tanks that like freeze them. I failed science class growing up, but we throw down those tanks to freeze him, and when he's frozen like that, he takes 3 times more damage, which is very good for us. So he actually, I don't know if he just has a lot of HP or if he just has like very high durability when he's not frozen. But we freeze him, we shoot him with the rocket launcher. He takes like the normal damage then from the rocket launcher, which has enough to, does enough damage to kill him. And we're gonna go ahead and buy another rocket launcher right here. You're gonna get kind of sick of me buying rocket launchers. We're gonna buy it at nearly every merchant. But if we want to go fast, we need these rocket launchers. They're pretty good. Right here, we're gonna use kind of an unorthodox rocket launcher. We're not gonna use it to kill an enemy. This part right here, you would have to do this long part normally, like an auto-scroller-ish part to get this dynamite to blow up the rock, but with a rocket launcher, you can just blow it up instantly, which, to say the least, is quite a bit faster. And right here, we're going to do our first out of bounds in the entire run. We're going to use Ditman to ride this zip line up here twice, and because we're going so fast, we actually get to the zip line again before it fully recovers. And if you do that, it'll just take you straight out of bounds, as you're going to see right now. You normally wouldn't be able to do this because Leon just isn't fast enough. And another thing I should mention is that with Ditman, when you're climbing up ladders, you actually climb up ladders faster, unless it is a tilted ladder. But if it is like a straight vertical ladder, you will climb up it at like the same movement buff that you have with running. It is just so powerful. You actually climb the ladder faster than the camera that is like moving with you can move. So you get to the top before the camera has finished moving. So we can already start moving Leon at this like really weird camera angle. All right, we now have the third Novistador room, which is another random room. As you can tell, every room with Novistadors has the possibility of being a run killer. I'm actually going to use the striker right here to kill all these Novis that are in the air, because when they are in the air, they actually do take extra damage. I don't know if they take extra damage or if they just like die very, very fast. Uh-oh. I'm very lucky that Novi swiped at me. Like very, very lucky. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Okay, video game. Okay, video game. Whew. That was pretty scary. I'm actually going to be safe here. I don't know if I might have screwed up there. If you don't hold W completely during this part, you will get crushed. And I didn't go as fast as I possibly could, so I didn't want to be crushed. I was just playing that safe. All right, so that is like the final Novistador room, thank God, in the game. So there is still RNG in the run, but this is the part of the run where it actually becomes way less RNG. It's from this part of the run and going forward. It's pretty just much skill-based, so that's why we say you never really have a run going until you're past the final Novistador room, which was that right there. You never have a run going until you're past 4-2, which is that chapter. We're going to go ahead and grab the flash grenade that's in that barrel right there. We're going to crank this. Hopefully we moved fast enough that we can get past all the enemies. All right, the enemies are kind of slow. That's good. And we should be able to get this before the enemies can do anything to us. And we are now in the mine area. As you can see, we have to deal with these villagers again. And lore-wise, the reason because of that is because the villagers are basically being exploited. They're being used by the cult to farm the Plagas eggs, I think. Something like that. That are coming from these mines. Hence the reason why they all got infected. So because we moved on to like this mining part of the castle, it makes sense for us to be going up against villagers again compared to the Oh, that actually kind of screwed me up. It makes sense for us to be going up against these villagers compared to the monks who are like, you know, sitting in their ivory towers, not having to do any of the physical labor. Okay. And this part right here, handy dandy TMP to deal with another ceiling trap room. That one is a lot harder than the other one because you have to deal with those two, like, head crab looking things that are on the ground. But if you're fast enough, it's not a big deal. All right. Now we have one of the biggest out of bounds in the entire game. This is the minecart skip. So using Ditman and having our TMP equipped, we can actually clip out of bounds at that one little corner right there. There's actually two methods of doing the skip. And with that, we basically can just go ahead and go out of bounds right here. This minecart section is basically one massive auto-scroller. So having a skip that lets us bypass a really boring, long auto-scroller section is just a blessing in disguise. I remember before minecart skip was found, I think it was in 2015-ish. I don't know my RE4 speedrunning history that well. Before it was found for the 60 FPS version on Steam, and later there was an alternative method that was found that works on every version of the game, including all the older console versions. This was by far the most sought-after skip in the entire game. Like, the minecart skip was, like, the thing that people, like, spent, like, a lot of time trying to find. So, as you can imagine, when it was finally found, people went ballistic, like, insane. Like, just cheers of joy of not having to do this part again and just saving a minute and a half in the process. I think that's how much time it saves. It saves a lot. It's a very, very major out of bounds. And right there, we're just going to clip back into bounds, grab that treasure, and we're out of here. All right. Oh. As you can see, I'm going into my inventory a lot to re-equip my my striker, so I can just use the striker glitch, which we call Ditman, by the way, as soon as possible. It's just good optimization to always be equipping your striker whenever you can, whenever you're at the end of an area, so you can just go into the next room immediately doing Ditman. Alright. Right now, we're getting to the end of the castle portion of the run. This is the final chapter for castle. I'm going to go ahead and fire those 2 TMP shots, and that's going to go ahead and let me manipulate these enemies the way I want them to. So, if everything went correctly... If everything goes correctly, the enemies should be where I want them to be. Alright. Only 1 enemy up here, that's good. Very good. Okay, so doing that, there was only 1 enemy on that hand, which is what I wanted. That makes this room a little bit easier to deal with. And right now, we are being chased by a giant statue of Salazar. If you thought... Oh, I'm pressing very, very slowly. That's not good. All right. I almost died to that, actually. If you thought that the rolling boulders were one thing, this is another thing. A giant statue of one of the villains chasing you. Uh-oh. Why am I mashing so slowly? Because of 60 FPS, this is the hardest glitch in the entire game. Or, not glitch. QTE in the whole game. I wonder why I'm running so slowly. Alright, give me 1 moment. Alright. Whew. That is, because of how 60 FPS has, like, bugged the physics engine for this game. Because, this is not really... The Steam version of this game is not the greatest of ports. And 60 FPS really broke this game. Physics-wise and hitbox-wise and all that. It also bugged the QTEs, which makes that QTE specifically, for some reason, you have to be mashing so fast to not die to it. It is very, very scary if you're in the middle of a run and, like, you get to that QTE, because even if you're mashing very, very fast, there's a possibility that it won't work because of 60 FPS memes. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and actually change the modern controls here. This is like a newer strat we found recently for doing this portion of the run. So what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna shoot these enemies as soon as they come on the elevator. And using keyboard and mouse, you can actually do this part a bit more efficiently, as you can see right here. And the reason for that is because we can just turn our camera so fast and aim so precisely. So keyboard and mouse is very overpowered for this part. This allows me to shoot these guys off so much faster than normal. Alright, be 1 more wave coming up. Alright, good. Ah, come on. And then I'm going to go ahead and change back to classic here. Alright. That did cost me a little bit of time RTA, but in the run when we take out, because of the timer we use, the time we spent like in the options menu changing stuff doesn't count towards our overall time. So it does actually save quite a bit of time to go ahead and change to those controls. And there is a bit of RNG. That elevator section is way harder than it looks. Like, for newcomers, it is very, very hard. Me using...
What are you buying?
Give me 1 moment. Me using my... Me using that strat that I did, like, lets me bypass some RNG that's in that part. Because the speed at which enemies drop down is kind of random. Alright, so to catch up to where we are now, we are fighting Salazar, who's been consumed by, like, the Queen Plagas. And he turns into this giant monster thing. But using our handy-dandy striker rocket launcher combo, we can just kill him immediately, pretty much. Yeah, this is another boss that you kind of cheese. But again, we're going fast. Like, fighting bosses the legit way is just not that appealing when you can just shoot them with a rocket launcher instead. Even on Pro, the rocket launcher is just so powerful. So powerful. Alright, so we're now at the end of the island section. We have not been able to get Ashley back. She got kidnapped back at the second Novisador room.
What are you buying?
Alright, let me go ahead and buy another rocket launcher. And we now have to follow her to this island where she's being taken to. And with Ada, who we don't get to see because we skip cutscenes, We get transported to this island. Right here, we have another very big out of bounds skip. This one was found actually very recently. So if we climb up this ledge at this precise angle, we can go ahead and clip out of bounds here. And there we go. We basically skipped this entire part right here with the mirrors. That is by far the biggest out of bounds that we found recently. It was after JTB's last run of this game at SGDQ 2016. Or no, I'm getting my dates mixed up. It was 2018, I think, actually. Yeah, but using that, we basically saved like 40 seconds. It was back when that was found like a few months ago. That was very, very huge. All right. It makes this island segment definitely like a lot faster. I remember that shook up the community quite a bit. And again, there's not really much to talk about here. We're using the Ditman glitch to run past all these enemies we would normally not be able to run past. We can go ahead and do this part though without it. This is like another part that's like kind of acts as like downtime. Even if you're like at a top level, this part of the run is like very, very just skill and execution based. You're just like running from one room to the next with the best possible movement, hopefully. And we're gonna use Ditman right here actually to go ahead and bypass this shutter. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This normally doesn't happen. Here, let me hold it. Come on, guys. I got places to be. All right, we're just resetting this room. That normally never happens. That usually never happens. That was very, very strange. Okay. I might have been doing new game easy strats right there. There we go. Okay, that's what's supposed to happen. The timing there is kind of precise. I don't know what happened. Okay, whatever. Moving on. You normally have to kill like 3 waves of guys at that shutter to get past it to where it finally just stays open. But we are trying to go fast, so we just skip it. Another puzzle right here, and we're gonna be introduced to another very notorious enemy in the game. I know a lot of people cite this as like the scariest enemy in the game. And these are the Regenerators. They're the guys who make this heavy breathing noise and walk like that. Those guys right there. Even though they are pretty scary to a casual player, and also because as the name implies, they regenerate like their lost limbs and stuff, and they have a lot of HP. Even though they're very daunting, they're not a big deal for the speedrun, and the reason is because they're so slow. We can just run past a lot of them like that. So just bait them out and just run past them. There's only one Regenerator in the entire game that we actually have to kill because he drops a key item that we need, who will be coming up in a little bit. Uh-oh. Oh, let me reset that. I messed up my movement there, and that caused that crossbow guy to be in a spot that I didn't want him to be at. All right. All right. Oh, okay. This is another pretty tough room. This is like probably the toughest room in this entire chapter. Because that crossbow, just because of that crossbow guy. If you're not fast, that crossbow guy will get you. Even if you are fast, he'll sometimes get you because, again, the crossbow enemies in this game are just very, very inconsistent. They sometimes have like marksman level aiming, and other times they will just miss you point blank. There's no telling what they'll do. Okay. So moving on past this next area. This is the one Regenerator in the game we have to kill, actually. Here, I'm actually going to move a bit forward right here. I was in the right spot there, but we're going to shoot that rocket launcher at that wall, and that'll immediately kill this Regenerator right here. And that is a lot faster than having to deal with him normally, where he'll just like keep regenerating infinitely. It's just a lot faster. And now we're just going to go back. We need that key card to get to the cell Ashley's being held in. And we're just going to use a flash right there to bypass all those enemies. And we're going to the next chapter right here. This is where Ashley's being held. And hooray, we have Ashley back. Rejoice. I'm sure all the Ashley lovers will love that one. And we're just going to use more flashes. This is the part of the game where we kind of begin to just spam flashes because there's so many enemies that using a flash is just easier to deal with them than normal methods. All right, and we're using Ditman again to bypass all these enemies. I'm hoping I don't have to reset the room here. I wonder if Ashley's actually going to get carried out. No, we're good. Okay. With that cutscene trigger, it doesn't really matter if Ashley gets grabbed, as long as you're fast enough to get to the cutscene before she gets taken away. All right. And this is another part with some downtime right here. I'm going to go ahead and use this flash to get past this Iron Maiden right here, which is like the variant of the Regenerators that have like these spikes all over their body. They're quite a lot more dangerous than the normal Regenerators. And that one almost got me. And we're going to use another flash right here. And we actually have a pretty big glitch right here that we're going to do. So I actually have to do this part on a gamepad. This is the one part of the game I use a gamepad for. I'm going to go ahead and make Ashley crouch right there, but I'm not going to tell her to wait. And because I have nothing equipped and I'm holding the aim button, Ashley will just stay up there until I let go of the aim button, which is the right trigger on my Xbox controller. And I'm going to go ahead, position Leon right here. I'm going to tell Ashley to jump down now, skip that cutscene. And look, all the enemies are just looking around, not doing anything. Because the enemies actually aren't aggroed to Ashley, at least in this room they aren't. They're aggroed towards Leon. So because we're hiding Leon behind this pillar right here, the enemies basically just aren't aggro to us. It's pretty nice. So we can go ahead and do this room. That's normally kind of scary very, very easily. That guy actually almost zapped Ashley, which would not have been fun. Okay. And we have some more Regenerators. We got to run past here. I'm actually going to use Ditman right here. If you use Ditman while Ashley's with you, she actually doesn't gain the same buff. So you got to be very careful in rooms where you use Ditman, but Ashley doesn't have it, in case she gets stuck on an enemy or something. But with some precise movement, we'll be okay here. And we need both of us at that door right there. So I move out of line so Ashley gets put on the lever that I need her to be on. And boom. We're past that room, and now we are on the biggest auto-scroller currently in the game, which is the truck segment. This is another area with like a lot of downtime. I'm just going to go ahead and get a sip of water right here. But even though Ashley didn't say anything, she's somehow legally allowed to drive giant trucks around like this. I don't know. And we basically just have to protect her while she's driving us to the end of the chapter while dealing with these enemies. But fun tip. As long as you're standing at the edge of this truck, like the edge of this ledge right here, and the truck is moving, the enemies can never get on. Like, they'll just, like, keep trying to swing at you down here. It doesn't work if the truck is stationary, hence why I had to shoot those enemies. But if I put Leon right here, the enemies are just going to keep running behind the truck and never jump on. Hopefully. They sometimes can. And I'm just going to shoot these two guys who dropped down. And these guys right here are going to go away now. They're going to go have a group meeting over there. Running against the truck didn't work, so what can we do? We can go ahead and form a truck. And we have to shoot this truck now, which we did right here. Go ahead and reload. And because of this specific manip I did, only one guy spawns here, which is very nice. And as long as I just stand at the edge here, this guy is never going to be able to jump on. He's just going to keep running at us. But unfortunately, he's not going to get a chance to because this truck is back. It wants some action. The ghost truck that never stops. And we just shoot it again and we're okay. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and Ditman here. So this is like the truck stop. It's like the halfway point for the auto-scroller. We need to activate this lever so we can keep the truck moving. Luckily, we don't have to shoot any enemies while we're doing this. Or actually, we do, but I'll get to it in a moment. Alright, so we're just going to run past these enemies right here. even though it doesn't look like it, you need a very precise line to get past some of those enemies right there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bait this enemy out. They're gonna try and grab me, and then we can just go ahead and knife both these guys on the ground. The elevator's moving up on the lift, and we can just get both these guys with a knife. I'm hoping one drops money. All right, they didn't. That's kind of unfortunate, but whatever. I don't think we need it. Okay. And we're back to the second half of the truck auto-scroller, where we're in this outdoors area right now. This part of the truck section is actually a lot more stressful and a lot scarier. And the reason why is because all these enemies that we're shooting now have the possibility of spawning a Plagas, which are those giant tentacle things that come out of the enemies' heads, which can one-shot you, by the way, on Pro. We don't want that. So we're hoping none of the enemies do anything funny here. Uh-oh. I didn't want this guy here. Uh-oh. This is not good. Actually, no, we're okay. That guy always dies in one hit. So if I shoot these enemies right as they're jumping on, it'll do this thing where they basically are just die. Like, and don't have a chance of respawning, or spawning a Plagas, I mean. And right now, the truck is back. He's back for more. He's clipping through that wall right there in the back. But we can just shoot him easily again and just get past that. Actually, I think now that that's a separate truck, I don't know. They have like just an army of trucks following your truck around. That's their primary tool against you. Okay. So we're going to make a quick stop here at this trusty merchant to get our rocket launcher, because it's not an RE4 run without more rocket launchers. Okay. So we lost Ashley again. That is actually the final time we have Ashley in the run. We get her again later, but only for like a room or two, and she's not in like, she's basically not in like any danger in those rooms. Oh, I was supposed to dip, man. Okay. So this next portion coming up, is basically a boss rush. We're gonna do 2 bosses back to back here. These are 2 of, I think a lot of people consider these 2 like 2 of the hardest bosses in the game for good reasons. The first is gonna be U3. And then the second is going to be Krauser, who we're going to meet right here in this this long cutscene. And this is like the only long cutscene in the game that we can't skip, actually. We just have to watch this cutscene and do the QTEs as they come. And using that trick I mentioned earlier, where you just mash both QTE possibilities, we can go ahead and just do all the cutscene, or the QTEs just fine.
Been a long time, comrade.
Krauser. I died in the crash 2 years ago. Is that what they told you? You're the one who kidnapped Ashley. You catch on quick, as expected. After all, you and I both know where we come from. Ha. So as you can see, I've done this. I've done so many runs of this game at this point that I have every bit of this cutscene dialogue like memorized at this point, and I know exactly where all the QTEs are. So even though we're doing all these QTEs successfully, we can't like jump forward to like where the next QTE is. And I think the reason the devs did that is because this cutscene is basically like a boss fight in itself, because there are so many like quick time events. Quick time events you have to do really fast, otherwise you die. And they thought like that was gonna be really challenging. So the thing they didn't look at was us just mashing both QTE possibilities. It just makes this part like just another bit of downtime. Just waiting for the movie to end, basically. Oh boy. So yeah, another very big like bounty we have for this game, or used to have, was a skip for this cutscene. If we found a way to skip this cutscene, it would save, I think, a minute or two. I don't know.
Enough talk.
Definitely over a minute. This cutscene is very long. So this is the final QTE right here. Oh boy. Ada saved us. And Krauser is using some naughty words.
Looks like we have the upper hand here.
So the cutscene's basically over, but even though I'm mashing it, I still can't skip it. You're just forced to watch this whole thing.
but it's not like you can escape your inevitable
And
death.
this is like the precursor to the boss rush we have coming up, basically.
You knew each other?
More or less. Maybe it's about time you told me the reason why you're here. Maybe some other time. Okay, so we're free of the movie. We can leave our theater seats, fortunately, now. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next part. Right here we have these lasers, which as long as you have a grenade equipped and hold W, shift and W, or your analog stick on a controller, Leon can run past those first two sets of lasers just fine, actually. At least on 60 FPS. I don't have as much experience with 30 FPS and like some of the older console versions, but I do know on 60 FPS in Steam, you can get past those two sets of lasers by just holding W. And that's another bit of a QTE spam on part of the devs to add a little bit of difficulty to the game. And we're just going to move on to the next section, which is going to be the U3 boss fight. Sadler calls this boss It. But we call him U3 or Bono. That's our like fan nickname for him. Bono could be a bit of a trickster. He could potentially kill a run, and the reason for that is because he's able to just like grab you like randomly sometimes, and also because his attacks will basically just like one-shot kill you. So this part's pretty Monka-esque. But I think we'll be fine. We're gonna use our TMP to shoot these lights. I'm gonna bait out an attack right here, and we're gonna move on. And if Bono is nice here, he'll won't jump up to the ceiling and grab me. All right, good. Use our TMP again. Uh-oh, come on. I actually don't know if me taking that long will actually change anything. Now we're fine. Okay. His hitboxes, as you can see right there, are like a little bit wonky. You can just run past some of his attacks. I'm going to go ahead and throw a grenade there. That's going to let us skip this light right here. We're basically just pushing these lights to move on to the next area. There's no real point in fighting him at this point in the game because you can't kill him. You can only just like stop him for a little bit. The only way to truly move on is to just like get those green lights and press all the buttons, which we did. And now we're on the second half of the run, the boss fight, like the second phase where you truly fight him, and he's like he's in his upgraded form. But as you can see, our handy dandy rocket launcher goes ahead and kills him in nearly one hit. You actually, it actually doesn't kill him in one hit. It just leaves him at enough HP that you can just go up to him afterwards and knife him, and that'll kill him. That's how a lot of the higher HP enemies are like in the game. The rocket launcher isn't enough to kill him, but you do so much damage to him that you basically put him in a state where they just die to like wind blowing at that point. So even if it doesn't immediately kill him, the rocket launcher is just so busted in its own right that it could just be used like nearly anywhere to great effect. Okay. Right here we have the final, and I mean the final merchant stop. So we're going to go ahead and sell our loyal and trusty TMP for a Killer 7, which is one of the magnums you can get. As I said, we kept that TMP for the majority of the run. That TMP has been with us for a very long time. So we don't have much use for it anymore, though. We kind of need a Killer 7 from here on out so we can do enough damage to some of these bosses. And right here we have the second boss of this chapter, which is Krauser, that guy from the cutscene earlier. This is the part where we really fight him, though. And he's split up into 3 phases. Right here is the first phase. Let me deal with him real fast. Okay. So something I should mention right now, a lot of people who played this game casually probably knew about this through, like, via osmosis. Like, people just told them about it. But Krauser does indeed take extra damage from knives. He takes, like, a lot of damage from the knife. Like, a knife swipe on Krauser is like the equivalent of like a magnum shot. So we're gonna go ahead and abuse the knife in this fight quite a lot, actually, as you can see. So right here we have the second phase, which we get past very fast using our Killer 7. And I'm gonna push this statue. I don't think I pushed it enough. Ah, that's unlucky. So this statue push is actually very tricky. I want to push it enough so I can push it from this side right here without having to stop to move it to the left again. It's kind of hard to explain. It's easier to visualize. I don't have enough time to visualize it, unfortunately, for you guys. But it is probably one of the harder parts of this chapter, I would say, is getting the perfect statue push. It's just very, very hard to do on 60 FPS for whatever reason, because of physics and all that. And right now, we're going to just run past all these, like, drones and, like, spider mines that Krauser has lying around using Ditman. And we're going to go on to the final phase where he's, like, in his fully upgraded form. He has this giant Plagas on his left arm that he's going to use to try and swing at us.
Prepare for your death, Leon.
Okay, so this is probably the hardest part of this entire chapter, is this part right here. I'm going to go ahead and try to do a quick kill on him. Ah, boy. Oh, boy. This is fine. Okay. I messed up really bad. It's fine, though. But as you can see, we can trap Krauser in this corner right here and just, like, knife him to death, basically, with the correct setup. And that lets us get past him really fast. We don't have to waste any ammo on him. So that's Krauser done, and we're going to be moving on now to the final, like, true part of the run, which is 5-4. So, for those who remember, it's, like, this part where we go through, like, this gauntlet of, like, military dudes shooting at us. This chapter is very notorious in the speedrunning community because it is so random. This is, like, one of the only parts in the second half of the run that's, like, truly random. And the reason for that is because, look at this, dude. You have so much stuff just flying at you. So much garbage just flying at you. Enemies just trying to shoot you. So we're just gonna make our way through it and hope they don't shoot us, basically. Alright, that's kind of unfortunate. Oh, I didn't want to use that. That's okay, though. I wanted to use a normal green herb there. That's okay, though. Okay. I'm gonna use my Magnum to deal with these two. I think I know where my grenade is right here. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna throw a grenade down here so I can deal with these enemies. That'll let us get past this next part. Alright, that's the first half of this room. A lot happening. It's so hard to explain while you're doing it, because there's so much garbage in your way. Okay. So just a lot of enemies with guns, which we have to expertly dodge. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use a fire grenade. That fire grenade I picked up like a long time ago to deal with that one turret dude right there. I'm going to go ahead and back up here to bait out this dynamite dude. Alright, and I'm just going to use my Killer 7 now to deal with these turret guys. And here's our buddy Mike, who's in this chopper, like, helping us out by, like, mowing down guys for us. I'm hoping he will... There we go. So Mike can randomly shoot either the left side or the right side. We want him to shoot the left side that we're on right now. And the reason for that is so that right here, Mike can destroy this building, and we can go ahead and drop down right here. Get this. All right, there's no guy right here. And there we go. So Mike could either shoot the left side or the right side, and also he dies right here. Good night, Mike. You have served us well. He crashed his chopper right over there after getting shot by a rocket launcher in a cutscene, which we skipped. If Mike shoots the right side, you lose quite a bit of time, and you have to run past additional enemies. It's a bit of, like, really unfortunate bad RNG that can happen. You usually lose like 5 to 6 seconds if you get a bad mic. We got lucky there, though. But it's usually not the biggest deal if you don't get a good mic. I mean, it is if you're on, like, a very good pace run and you just pointlessly lose time. Also, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I didn't have enough room for that flash. I guess I have a lot of heals on me. All right. So we're going to go ahead and run past that one regenerator down there. And we're going to go on to this, the final room. So right here, this room's a little bit tricky. But basically, I'm going to grab this key card right here from this one guy with the red hat. Uh-oh. I'm hoping I won't get hit up here, but if I do, it's not a big deal. Oh, that's unlucky. I can use that. Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Ah, that's so unlucky. This guy usually is never here. Oh. I'm getting some pretty bad RNG here. Oh, come on, Leon. I usually don't have to deal with these enemies swinging at me, but this is another room that's just kind of RNG based. You hope for the best when you're getting past it. In my PB, I remember losing like 15 seconds-ish on this room. It's pretty stupid. But we're past it now. And that is like the final real difficult room in the game. The rest of this run is like pretty straightforward. Not, even though we have like one more boss line ahead of us, he's pretty simple. So I'm going to go ahead and use Ashley again, who we get for the final time. We're going to have Ashley now for the rest of the run, basically. We're carrying her to the end. This is the final chapter of the game. Alright, so here is one of the final rooms right here. The final boss is going to kick in once I hit this cone. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my Killer 7. I'm going to shoot one eyeball right here. That eyeball right there. And then we're going to use a rocket launcher, shoot it into his eye. And there we go. The boss is pretty much over. It's kind of an anticlimactic boss. Krauser is like the real, like, final difficult boss you have, I would say. Like, this boss, like, basically doesn't even count. He's so simple. But okay. We're done at that. Once Ada tosses down that special rocket launcher with, like, the red tip, as long as you are firing at any direction where Sadler is, who is that boss right there, in, like, his transform form, once you're past that, or once you get the Ada's rocket launcher, you can basically shoot it to anywhere where he is on screen, and it'll just kill him. You'll get the cutscene of him dying immediately. It's pretty simple. And right here, we're going to do the best glitch in the entire game. A very classic glitch, I would say. Long been a part of the Resident Evil community, the RE4 community. Goodbye, Ashley. We're getting out of here without you. Never mind, she's still with us. And time is going to be coming up in just a little bit right here. As soon as we get past this final jet ski section, which I'm sure a lot of people remember still. This part's pretty straightforward. You just hold W or your analog stick and just dodge stuff that's coming up. Very simple. As long as you hit the ramps as well, too. If you don't hit the ramps, you just die immediately. You can normally do jet ski tricks on these, but because I'm playing on keyboard and mouse, you can't do them, which is kind of unfortunate. And time is going to be coming up as soon as I get this final cutscene right here, and time. And that is RE4 New Game Pro. Did a lot of talking, I know, but there's a lot to explain here. Very, very fun run. Has a lot of popularity, I would say. There's a reason it has so much competition and so many people watch it. But yeah, I hope those who watched it enjoyed Resident Evil 4, and I hope to show it at AGDQ. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm going to go ahead and show, I'll go ahead and skip this final cutscene here, and then I'll leave it off on the results screen, because you do get a final results screen after you talk to Hunnigan for a little bit, who's like your radio guy, or woman, I should say.
Hunnigan, is that you?
Hunnigan, goodbye. Okay, and results screen, and up. There we go. I pressed too fast, but whatever. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope this is in serious consideration. Thank you, thank you. I hope everyone watching has a good day.